You hear that? It's wedding bells. What a fun time for celebration. Turns out you've been invited to a wedding in Japan. The question is, what do you do? Well, if you're well informed, not like me, then you don't make a fool of yourself. But if you're not, then you have a story to tell. Trevor in Tokyo. So someone at my church was getting married, and because the church is such a small and intimate little community, everybody gets a invitation. Or at least I did the second week around when they realized they missed me. It seems I have one interesting part of my personality, which is that I just can't say no. So not only did I receive the invitation, which of course I filled out inappropriately, which I'll get to in a moment, but the young couple had decided that as part of their wedding vows, during the signing process, they would like to have a choir sing a rendition of Amazing Grace to punctuate the mood. And they wanted a men's choir, and as our church is, as before mentioned, very small, that means that basically all men between the ages of 18 and 65 got recruited. So first, it was preparing for singing every Saturday for a couple of weeks, practicing my vocal cords and trying to, at the very least, not stand out from the rest of the choir. Made it easier to say, yes, I'm going to go. However, there's a few different steps about weddings in Japan that are quite different than those in the US, starting with the invite. So I no longer have the invite, having sent it back. However, apparently in Japan, when you get the invite and it says, are you going to come, yes or no, and you're supposed to return it, of course, briefly, within a week of receiving it, before each of the yes and no in the translation, there's an honorable prefix that says, I will humbly attend, I will not humbly attend. Not only are you supposed to circle the one that you're going to do, but you're supposed to cross out the honorific to show humility and respect and deference to the young couple who's so graciously invited you to the wedding. I didn't know this at the time, so I just circled, yes, I'm going to go, and sent it back. As rude and crude as an American I am. So we've already committed one social sin. The next thing I realized is I need a suit. When I came to Japan, I brought 2 suitcases here with me, and I had my silver suit and a partial black suit. I realized later, early on this year, that I didn't have black slacks, so I'd picked up the black slacks earlier to try to complete the suit. Well, 2 weeks before the wedding, I realized, as I'm going to be standing and singing in their wedding, that my suit that I had previously, the black suit, doesn't fit. The jacket was far too big. And I might have been able to get away with this in America, where people tend to be more casually dressed, but the Japanese are nominally sharply dressed to a T, and so my sloppiness and slackiness would truly stand out. So I had to go shopping. However, I wasn't excited to drop $400 on a new suit, considering the thing that I'll tell you about next, so I wanted to get something relatively cheap. So I went to the secondhand store and actually managed to pick up this blazer for about $7 or less, as well as the tie, which green was their color. Great price. While I was there, I also picked up the shirt for another $7. So I had the top part of my outfit done for about $21. Could have gone next door to the store and got an actual matching suit for a nice $600, but I'm cheap, and it's not my wedding. The nice thing was, I did find everything that I needed at the secondhand store. However, this part of my adventure was quite exciting, because as I was going through the merchandise, finding things to try on, I felt a drip, drip. I was like, what? That's a strange feeling. I must be a little runny nose. Run my finger across my nose. Blood. Oh, that's not good. Blood. Blood. in the middle of the store, blood all down my face. And so I hold my basket of clothes that have yet to try it on to the front, dripping blood from my face, and ask kindly for help of, "Excuse me, can you help me?" And to everyone's horror and dismay, I finally covered up the bloody rags for 20 minutes as I'm holding this napkin to my face, trying to get it to bleed, drawing all the ire and attention of all the customers and scaring away everybody. Third, going to Japan at a wedding, one of the differences from the US wedding, no matter if it's a Christian wedding or a Shinto wedding, just a Japanese cultural tradition, is to give an envelope with the gift at the reception, which contains money, where the number of the bills should not be divisible by 2, because that would be bad luck, because that would suggest the couple could just split the money if they broke up. And so, of course, if you gave an even number of bills, you're hoping for the couple to break apart and break their vows and split up, and you're just a terrible person. So it has to be an odd number of bills. And of course, big bills, because little bills would just be insulting. So the smallest possible gift to give for an adult to a wedding is 30,000 yen, 3 bills, which at US to Japanese prices is about $180, and that's the cheapest. And if you get closer to the family, such as you're a family member or a boss, then that should be 5 mon, 50,000 yen, or a nice solid $300. Or if you're really close to the family, a brother-in-law or someone like a parent, then you should give up from 800 or 80,000 to 10,000 yen, or a nice solid $480 to $600 as your reception gifts. Now, you don't give any other gifts, but you do have to get the gift inside the envelope. Now, it's not just any envelope. It has to be a special envelope. So these nice ornate envelopes that contains the inner envelope, which you put your money in, and the outer envelope, which is fully for decorative purposes. And this is where things get really exciting, because if you get too humble of an envelope or the wrong envelope, then I'm sorry, you thought this was a wedding? No, you picked up the envelope that you only give for funerals, so obviously you hate the couple and want them to die. Oh, you chose the wrong envelope? This is a happy birthday envelope, or something that you think happens all the time. So you're saying that this wedding should just be something that this couple should experience on a regular basis. You just expect them to break up and meet other people on a regular basis? No, you have to get the right envelope. You have to get the one that's only for weddings. So you get one envelope that's nice and ornate for a wedding. Ah, but see, there's the problem. You chose the wrong envelope. See, you were supposed to get the moderately ornate envelope, and you picked up the super ornate envelope. And so your gift, even though it's a moderate amount of money, was dressed up in an envelope which is super nice and fancy. Are you being cheap? Are you trying to make your gift get special attention over other people who gave the same amount of money? How dare you? How self-centered of you? So it's quite a range of proper traditions just to choose the right envelope to give. And then, fine, whatever. I originally was going to get an envelope, and I realized that the envelopes at the one store that I was going to were too ornate for my gift. So you had to go to a different store, which is a convenience store, to pick up the right envelope. And I asked in my not as broken Japanese this time for help to choose the right envelope for the size of the gift that I was going to give, brought it back, and had everything set up to fill it out. Okay, great. So inside the envelope, you put your nice 3 fresh, precious new bills, because if they're bent, if they're old, if they're crumpled, that means that you didn't prepare, that you were not looking forward to this wedding and didn't intentionally go to the bank. So, having known this beforehand, I went to the bank, asked the teller for the fanciest, freshest bills that I could get, and brought them back and started filling out the envelope, preparing for the night before. Now, there's more things apparently here that I forgot about, which is that your name, my name, goes on the outside of the envelope, of the outer envelope, and that part will be displayed publicly. So you're supposed to put your name in calligraphy on the front. And no, you better not be using a ballpoint pen or a marker, because that means it's cheap. It doesn't look right. You didn't prepare in advance. Great. It's the day before. I just was at the store. It's now 11 o'clock at night, and the wedding is tomorrow. The wedding is in 11 hours. What are you going to do? So, if you're like me, you frantically search on the web. What am I going to do if I can't put my name in calligraphy? I can't scratch it with a ballpoint pen. That would look cheap. No. So I decided I'm going to run into the office at 11 o'clock at night and go print my name off, because at least the printed version would have some sort of ink, which should look at least kind of fancy, that I can glue to the front of the envelope. Of course, there's some random person in the office who I've never seen before, working, coughing, spreading his flu, 30 minutes to midnight, whatever. I get my name all written out, the different sizes that I need to put on the envelope, print it out, glue it to the front of the envelope. It looks moderately childish, but still better than I'd write in a ballpoint pen. Bring it back. It's now 1:45. I get the bills inside the envelope. You take the inner envelope, and then you got to put it in the outer envelope, the fancy ornate envelope. And of course, you got to make sure the bills are facing the right direction, because, otherwise the happiness is facing the wrong direction. And you better make sure that the bills are facing up and not down, because then otherwise the happiness that you're giving is going to fall out. And then you got to wrap the whole thing up, put the bow on it, put it inside another envelope to protect it. And then if you're really fancy, you would have another silk or fabric protector to make sure that doesn't get bent, and then you would take that to the wedding. I don't have any of these things, so I just have my fancy ornate envelope and the original packaging that I bought it in at the store to protect it. Fine. It's now 12:30 in the morning. I'm going to have to get up soon to get down there. But I have my envelope. I have my clothes. Everything's fine. I'm going to put it in my bag, and we're going to go. Okay, so where I'm at to where we're going, the church is in downtown Shinjuku, so that's 30-45 minutes by train. And I'm supposed to get there at 9:30 to practice with the choir, with the original service going to be somewhere between 10:30 and 11 starting. Fine. So I get up at 7, I skip my morning exercises, go straight into the shower. Gotta get changed, gotta get dressed, gotta try to comb my hair. Then walk to the train station, take a train down for 45 minutes, get down to Shinjuku, walk from Shinjuku to the church, which is about a nice 15-minute walk. Get inside, 9:15, perfect. I'm in time for practice. I put my stuff down in the back, walk out, and all the rest of the choir are coming back down the stairs. Oh, were you warming up down here? No, warm-up's at 9:30. No, Trevor, you're dumb. It's 8:30. You were supposed to be here an hour earlier, and you failed for a third time. So, dejected, alone, disappointing everybody again for the fourth time, I quietly warm up in the corner like the little wallflower that I am. And so, basically, muddle my thumbs from 9:30, 10:30, 11 when it finally starts. In that time, I managed to basically do nothing but small talk, which is a big thing for me, as well as hand in my envelope properly at the reception desk. So you don't give it to the bride or the groom directly, you give it to their friends or family. And what they're supposed to do is to take it out of their little fancy envelope, and then you hang that up where everybody can see it with your little name on there, so everyone can see how much you care about these people. They're a nice and fine couple, but there's a lot of ceremony going into this. Now, the service itself was quite beautiful. We went through the Tokyo Lutheran Church, which apparently has a whole bunch of history, but the fancy thing is it has an organ up front. So there's this nice, beautiful organ, nice, beautiful stained glass, and the couple take their vows. The service is basically entirely in Japanese, so I understand this much of it. But if you've been to a wedding, it's more or less the same for the Christian Japanese as it is with the Christian US or Western style. And then it came to the reception. So the reception was in a different church. So we walked from one church in Shinjuku to another church in Shinjuku. Had our party, had our kampai, our cheers, and everyone gave their speeches in Japanese that I also really didn't understand anything. But it was a good, fun experience. But at the end of the day, it's not really about me. It's not my wedding. So the best thing I can do is not stand out and not embarrass the bride and groom. And they were smiling at the end of it. So, if I can just wallflower in the corner at the wedding long enough for them to be happy and then shuffle away after giving them my money, I think everybody wins. But I can't do this every week. But Japan's birth rate isn't going to get much higher without these weddings, so it's worth a little arm and a leg every so often to support this country. If nothing else, it gives me some good things to talk about. I've been Trevor in Tokyo. See ya next time.